anyways, any other questions?
I'd be interested to hear what everyone's personal experience was when you were playing.
Well, I think at one point the sound came from a different direction, and I don't know where that was from. And it
The fifth dimension.
Yeah. Another group.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a Groupon coupon.
With Grey Poupon?
That was I've been to several, and I've participated and benefited, and there was one particular one that I not only this one, but there was one particular one where I think you were whirling a gong.
Oh, yeah.
And they literally had people who had to leave because the energy level was almost disturbing for people who aren't in the rhythm, I guess, of the transition.
It's unusual. It's unusual. People bring their own stuff. I mean, by and large, I've played these over the years for thousands and thousands of people, and it's you know, a less than a tenth of 1% of people who find them like disturbing. But whatever it is, you know, it may stir up something. And maybe we have all sorts of euphemisms for this type of stuff in the healing fields. We say, oh, going through a healing crisis. After my session, you had a severe headache. Oh, you're going through a clearing.
But my response then was, I mean, it was just like, it was so exhilarating. I mean, it was just, I don't know, it just...
And the other thing that I do, when you asked about the ritual, is I have these are beads. They're if I were Catholic, I'd call them rosary beads. They're called mala beads, japa, for the doing of mantra. Every Hindu, Muslim, Christian, the Jews use little pieces of thread coming off of there, you know. But there's always this thing of doing counting and repeating, usually the names, sacred sounds, names of God, or mantra. So when I take these with me when I fly, and as the plane is taking off, I'm sitting there doing mantra, and when the plane is landing, I'm sitting there, you know, on the plane doing mantra. And when I'm preparing, that's part of the clearing of the mind, is you know, just Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Mani Padme It's good pranayama too. And then do silently or mutter under your breath or do it out loud, but that's, a form of centering.
Oh, that's great, Peter.
Anybody else have some experience they want to share? I don't think everybody needs to, but if anybody had anything that was particularly
I always get visions when you do that.
Yes, yes.
yeah, did you
I mean,
have
I just
some?
go on all kinds of internal journeys.
Yeah,
Through the
right.
labyrinth of stuff.
Sure. Well, this can be set up ahead of time. I mean, I've studied shamanic journeying and Michael Harner style, and I've used the drum and rattle to do that with clients over the years. There's more of a building of an expectation ahead of time.
Yeah.
When you hear these sounds, you will go under the ground or you'll go up above, and you will be looking for your ancestors or your spirit guide or your guardian angel or whatever it is, your totem animal. And so there's this creation of an expectation that the sound will carry the person forward. Here, I prefer to leave it without any suggestions, so everybody can have their own personal experience.
I like your concerts so much, and I have several of your CDs, by the way, which I
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
And but what I like about it is that, from my experience, I'm more in the now moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's the sound, but then there's the time in between the sound too, which I also find very interesting, because that has so many possibilities. You just don't know what that next instrument or note or tone is going to be, and trusting that, of course, is going to be wonderful. But it's just like there's so many different possibilities.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it's often like less is more. These sounds are so rich that I sometimes have to stop and just let them ring for a while. I don't need to make more right away, you know. They're just big space, big spaciousness. We need more of that in our lives and in our minds, right? We're very busy lives and busy minds. It's nice to have some more spaciousness.
Yeah, but I find I really like listening to your concerts and your CDs, because, you know, I'm not then projecting a whole bunch into the future, and I'm not dragging up a whole bunch in the past. And just being right now, enjoying that moment, enjoying life itself in this present moment, and really recognizing that that's all you really need
You
in
ever,
life to be happy.
do you ever lose track of where you are doing this?
I think that's the whole point.
No, but I'm talking about as a musician.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I think I'm a little bit too much of a control freak. That I always feel like, well, I mean, you know, like, do you go into trance when you're working with your
Yes, I was
clients?
just gonna
Yes.
say that. Sometimes
Yes,
I'm working
but-
with clients and I
But
get lost.
there's always a part, like the executive function or whatever they like to call it these days, the psychologist, that is like, no, I got this. I know I'm on planet Earth. I know I'm in the Holiday Inn, in the Willow Room, and I'm a male, Caucasian, and you know, this is who I am. My name. I respond to the name Peter. I mean, I don't lose myself that much. I let myself loosen the reins somewhat, so that I can be in that place of being inspired by whatever comes through. And it's interesting when we do larger groups, and we'll talk amongst ourselves, and I'm working with 2 or 3 other performers, and we'll say, wow, it took 15 or 20 minutes really for the group to settle in, and for us to tune them, and for us to find the groove. Other nights not. Other nights we just hit it right away. But Shelley asked about this story, and I'll share this brief story with you, because I'm going to talk about stories tomorrow, but I'll lead with this story. I was fascinated with classical Indian music, and I played the guitar in my teens and 20s, and I always wanted to learn North Indian classical music. I'd heard recordings of it. I'd been at concerts. I loved it. And I was living in Amsterdam, Holland, from 1978 to 1981, and there was a gentleman there who was a maestro. He was Ravi Shankar's first and oldest disciple, and he was considered, you know, a great sitarist, playing the sitar, and he had a school of North Indian classical music, and I went to him, and I asked if he could teach me some of the raga scales on the guitar, and he said, he listened to me play a little bit, and he said, well, you have some good musical ability, but I can't teach you on that. If you want to learn, you have to learn on sitar. So I said, all right, and we made some deals. There were some deals back and forth, you know. But I ended up studying for 3 years with him, and we became very close. And there's a different thing in certain traditions. Like, if you're accepted, it's not like here where you go find a guitar teacher, a piano teacher, oboe teacher. There's a relationship. I called him Guruji. He was my guru. He's my teacher. And my son, you know, he was like 10 years older than me, but my son, you know. And there's an instrument, it's called the tambura, and it's a string drone instrument. It just has 4 strings on it. I have it on some of my CDs in the background. And it just goes over and over again. It goes bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum, bum bum bum. And I got to play the tambura with my teacher. It was a great honor. He asked me if I would accompany him. It's very simple. And while I was learning the sitar, and he would play concerts, and I would sit there and I would play the tambura. Now, tambura has 4 strings, and they're tuned with a friction peg. So it's not like a machine head like on a guitar. It's a friction peg, and you know, it's very susceptible to slight changes in the weather. And the sitar itself has like 22 strings. And so there are a lot of tuning. If you ever go to a concert of Indian music, there's a lot of tuning. So one time we were going to a concert, and we were leaving Amsterdam and going to Rotterdam, which is about an hour and a half away. And we spent like an hour tuning the tambura and tuning the sitar before leaving. And then we put them carefully in the car in their cases, and we drove to Rotterdam. And then we took them out, and we went behind in the green room, and we took them out and we tuned them again before going out on stage at this concert hall. And we get out on stage, and we stop, and we spend another 10 minutes. He takes the tambura, he tunes it, he's got to tune again. So afterwards, we went driving back, and I said, Gurji, I understand we tuned after that long ride, but then we had just tuned the instruments. Then we went out on stage and we had to tune again. How come? Well, I like to say I think there's a word in every language for stupid white person. But he was kind enough not to use that word, and he just said, my son, we were tuning the audience, and we were tuning to the audience, and we could not have done that before that moment arrived. That was such a great teaching for me. I mean, I'm still carrying that around. That was 35 years ago, and it's like, of course, that's what we're doing with our clients, right? We're tuning to them, and we're tuning them. So we're all, whether you play an instrument or not, you are tuning yourself constantly, and you're tuning your clients, right? And so, all right. Good. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, right? The ultimate way to experience a ball, by the way, is to take a large one and turn it upside down and place it on top of your head. Balance. And then
Gently.
the operative word. Gently.
Gently.
I heard you telling this Jerome
Yeah,
and
when
Ann
Ann went
Spencer say
wham.
whack. No, gently. You'll feel like you're in a cathedral.
Everybody try it. It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So there's at least 4 or 5 balls that are big enough to fit nicely over your
Come
head.
try it.
I mean, if it's too small, you'll end up looking like, Mork from Ork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous experience. Try it. Awesome. Thank
It's
you.
very simple to make sounds with the bowl. There are 2 ways to do it. You strike it, or you go around the edge. Yeah? Ah, softy.
Yes, it's soft.
Softy. Oh, I thought you were going to put it on your head.
I am.